Hey there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Powerhouse Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Richard. I just want to say thanks so much for joining me today. I run the Sean Richard Mortgage team, and I've got a treat for you today. I've got a special guest joining me this afternoon, and we're going to get into some really cool stuff. I'm excited to show off what he's been doing in the real estate space and more specifically in the social media space. But you're going to love this. You're going to love this guy. And I can't wait to bring him on. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the one, to the only, Mr. AJ Cancel.
Hey, Sean, how you doing, brother?
Man, I am doing well, AJ. How are you doing this week? But it's Friday. It's Friday. 1 week till Christmas.
1 week to Christmas. It's a rainy Friday in Arlington, Texas, but it is still beautiful, man. I love living in the DFW. I've been here for about 3 years, and it's been a phenomenal experience. I can't complain on a rainy Friday when it's only still 60 degrees, man. It's beautiful. I moved from Pennsylvania. The weather here is phenomenal.
Goodness. Oh yeah. I mean, we've got chance of being 80 degrees on Christmas Day. So
I take it.
Not something that you see in Pennsylvania a whole lot.
That's the truth.
Now I don't know this about you. Are you an Eagles fan?
Well, here, what are you trying to out me here for, man?
I mean, I'm not trying to get you in trouble.
No, the reality is this. I grew up in Puerto Rico, and so we don't watch football, American football in Puerto Rico. In fact, it's basketball and boxing. So when I moved to Pennsylvania, although I lived for 20 plus years there, I never got into the sport really, only during the finals. You know, my buddies would get me into it. So I was really never a fan of any one team. But when you live in Texas, you're a Cowboys fan. You have to be. I mean, what else are you doing?
You know, I'm from the East Coast, and I'm a Patriots fan. I'm going to get canceled for that statement. But yeah, no, I agree. Moved to Texas. Now I'm a Cowboys fan. Well, hey, I'm excited to have you on, man. I've been following you for a little bit now, and I'm really excited to show off what you've been doing in the social media realm. You know, today's episode is titled "Social Stories with AJ Cancel," and that couldn't be a more apt title. So before we get into all that, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what you do and how long you've been in real estate?
Well, you know, I moved to Texas just about 3 years ago, not for a job, not because I have family in town. I moved here to help a ministry start a church. And I have been in ministry my entire life. Grew up in church. My father's a pastor, his father's a pastor, and I became a pastor, started planting churches when I was 16 years old. And back in 21, a good friend of mine who is in ministry in Arlington invited me, and God called me and my family to move to Arlington and help plant Authentic City Church. It's been a phenomenal experience. We're still obviously in that. You know, we're doing ministry. My wife is the worship pastor there. My kids are involved. So I came to Arlington with the purpose of saving souls for the kingdom of God. And so it's been a phenomenal experience. When I first moved here, a friend of mine who owns a dealership had me come over and say, "Hey, man, maybe you can sell cars for us." You know, before that, I was a manager at an Apple store back home. And I've always been bivocational. You know, I work outside of ministry, and then I do ministry as a passion, what God's called me to do. And so I asked him a couple of questions about selling cars because, you know, there's a stigma with selling cars. And you know, it's not something that I've was excited to do or like thought about doing ever, honestly. But he answered my questions and kind of helped me through the process. And honestly, the witness that I received from him, meaning like this family, this type of people, I don't really care if they're selling cars or doing something else. I want to be around them and be part of what they're doing. So it's been a phenomenal experience. About 2 years ago, I bought my first house for the first time in my life.
Wow.
Which I'm sitting in right now. Yeah, man. I've been married 12 years now. It was 10 years of marriage before my wife and I bought a house. So through that process, I kind of got attracted to real estate, and that's how kind of like things started.
Well, super cool, man. And I love to hear the uplifting stories. You called to Texas to really help people. And the beauty of the real estate industry and I'm guessing this is what drew you to it, is the similarities between your ministry and real estate, is being able to help people in one of the biggest areas of their life. I would say in that faith, obviously a massive area of a lot of people's life. Yep. And, buying a home, one of the biggest financial transactions anyone will ever make in their entire life. These are all big decisions and big components of people's lives. So really cool stuff to see how that translates over. So you kind of told us a little bit about where you're from. So I'd like to dive in. Let's get a little bit backstory. So kind of, back of the baseball card, so to speak, is tell us a little bit about, your journey. How did you get to where you are now? We know that you lived in Pennsylvania for a little bit. What did you do before real estate, and how that translated to being able to have success in the real estate industry?
So, I have been very entrepreneurial in the way that I approach life, and just since very young, I always liked business and selling things, and I have also been gifted from God with the ability to speak to people. So, those two things together have been a blessing in my life, both in business and ministry and my personal relationships. And I remember at a very young age, kind of doing business with things, like my brother would draw things. He was a great artist, and he would draw things, caricatures, and I would like take him to school and sell them for 50 cents. Hey, I'll show you. So, so that started at a very young age. And I would do that. And at 18, I had started a clothing company, Christian kind of t-shirts and things like that. And it was very like guerrilla kind of like, marketing. I would go to concerts, show up, get a table, set it up, and start selling t-shirts. Built a website, did a bunch of things at 18. And then I launched it and had a few artists, Christian artists. This was like Christian rappers in Spanish, very niche area. But I had a few of them. Yeah, very niche. I had a few of them kind of, we wear my stuff and promote it. And out of nowhere, there was growth and orders coming through the website, to the point where honestly, I couldn't handle it. It was too much.
Wow.
So, that gave me experiences. Being in ministry have given me a lot of experience with people, and just different interactions. And I ran businesses. I worked at nonprofit organizations. I worked for Wells Fargo at some point as well. Then I had my own business for a little bit of time. And just to give you context, because I'm sure you've seen it kind of comes through in some of what I do. My business was in marketing, and design and video development, video production. So I did that for about 12 years, 8 to 12 years, 10 to 12 years.
To make sense.
So you'll see that it's kind of in there. And what I do, like I love media. I love connecting with people. I love ministry. I love selling. So I'm trying to bring all those things together in what I do. And so I ran my business for about 10 years. And then I worked for Apple for about 3.5 years, 4 years. And then I moved to Texas and worked at the car lot selling cars. And then only about 6 months ago, I started, I got licensed. It's a little bit of a process, right? And to be honest with you, Sean, I thought, easy. I'll just go take the classes, pass the test, no big deal. Tell you what, man, it was a little harder than I thought it was going to be, because I have a full-time job, I have ministry, I have a family, and I'm like taking all these classes. I haven't been to school in 15 years. You know what I mean? And so it was definitely harder than I thought it was going to be, but it's been worth it, and it's been a good journey.
So got a lot on your plate trying to work through getting this real estate license.
That's right.
Clearly, we know now that you made it all happen. No surprise there. Now, I've got to ask a question. So the t-shirt business, like, did you have a screen printing machine at home where you were just pumping out t-shirts, or did you have a different setup?
No, it was a different setup. Back in Philadelphia, there was a company that's probably still around right now. It's called Mesquite Originals. It was kind of like an urban brand. And what they would be doing, what they were doing is they hire a bunch of artists to actually draw like live on shirts. They were drawing with paint. Like so every single shirt, although it was the same design, it was slightly unique because there were artists that were painting it on the shirt. So I concept, and that's what I did. I did that, and I had three employees: my mom, my brother, and some young guy from the church, and we're just pumping out designs, drawing on shirts. And so that's why it was cool. It was nichey. It was kind of artisan in a way. People loved it, but it wasn't at the time, it wasn't sustainable for me, just because I just didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know, about the supply chain, and I didn't know about, acquiring things and things like that. I was very young. I just got excited about it. And so, no, it was all by hand in my mom's garage. It was honestly a very exciting moment in my life, but also it was very a moment of learning for me in business, and how to deal with success. And at the time, honestly, I just didn't know how, and I had another job that was good. I was like, I want to shut this thing down. I can't handle it.
Accidentally blew up, and you're like, wait a second.
Yeah, that's not what I meant. Yeah, I can't fulfill all these orders.
That's an interesting story, right? Because I think, we talk about how, in life, we talk about how to overcome challenges, how to deal with challenges and hurdles in our lives. But I think the fact that, you talked about how to deal with success is a very unique and lesser talked about problem to have. So it's interesting that you describe it in that way. So you're 6 months into the real estate industry. What into one of the hardest markets that we've seen in quite some time, right? We've got inventory a little bit on the low side. We've got, I'm in the mortgage world. We got interest rates that have been higher. Hey, good news coming down the pipeline. They're coming down. We're excited. We're excited. So what really drives your passion, week to week, day to day, in this industry? What gets you up out of bed and says, you know what, I love this industry. I can't wait to take on the day.
Yeah. So here's the deal, man. I would not want it any other way. I'm so glad that it took me longer than I expected to get my license. I'm so glad that I'm coming into the business in one of the hardest markets that we have seen in quite some time, because I want to learn the business while it's hard. I don't want to learn the business while it's easy and then be complacent. And quite frankly, that's what I've seen in my time as a real estate agent, that the people who are succeeding are the people who are putting in the work, are the people who are going out there, doing the work, going the extra mile. And the people that have been complacent because they were working and getting deals in an easy market, succeeding, and I'm not seeing the type of success that they want. So I'm totally okay with the fact that I'm going into the market in the hardest place in the market in quite some time. And just to be quite honest, I've seen tremendous success. I mean, I can't take any credit for it. I'm going to say it just upfront. The credit belongs to God. The favor of God is on my life, and because of that, whether I'm selling cars, selling T-shirts, selling graphics, or selling houses, I'm going to be blessed because God's favor is on my life. So just I want to give you a heads up there. I have no formula for success other than serve God and seek for the kingdom of God first, and everything else will be added onto you. That's off the bat. I want to tell you that. But it's been a blessing. I've been in the business 6 months. I have had already 3 closings. I have 3 closings scheduled for this month. So Monday, the 18th,
doubling
the 18th,
your
and the
closings
29th.
This month from the rest of the months. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I've had 3 listings. So I know listings is what a lot of people want and what they're excited for. I have 3 listings.
You need inventory.
Two of them already sold. I had my first. It was a $600,000 listing, $620,000, which some of my team members and other agents are like, man, I've worked 5 years before I had my first $500,000 listing. And I got it, and I worked really hard for it. I could tell you the story on how I got that listing. It wasn't given to me. I worked really hard to get it, and then I sold it in 10 days, under contract, 10 days. So it's just, again, the favor of God. But ultimately, it comes down to believing that what you're doing is the right thing. And so, and to answer your question about what gets me excited for it and what gets me passionate for it, I believe in this. Number one, the one driving factor for me in everything I do is my family. I want to make sure that my kids and my wife are proud of what I'm doing. And so I'm not going to do anything I do halfway. I'm going to do everything that I can to do it as if I'm doing it unto the Lord. And so I believe in that. And number two, I want to see people feel and have the joy that I had about 2 years ago when I purchased my house for the first time. That excites me. That I love seeing that, and to me, at the end of the day, that's really what I love to see.
So how big of an impact has that made on your ability to connect with people, being that you just bought that first home only a couple of years ago?
I bring it up all the time. I mean, I'm not shy to tell people my journey. I'm not shy to tell people. I'm not going to try to act like I'm this real estate agent that has 10 years of experience, because quite frankly, I see sometimes people see experience as a good thing. I think experience is a good thing, but a lot of times, having fresh eyes is a good thing as well. So I speak I speak with all my clients about my experience buying my house. I speak with my clients about how I felt. Sometimes we're looking at different things during the process, and I bring up my experience. I think here's the deal. I think that if you're not bringing in your experience, you're missing an opportunity to connect with the client at a different level. You could tell them what you know from the market. You could tell them what you know from what you read. You could tell them what you know from what you've seen. But when you begin to share what experiences you have, what has happened to you, I believe that the clients and people in general, that you build rapport, that you build trust, and that people will see you not just as an agent or someone doing a job for them, but as a friend. And I've been able to kind of bridge that gap fairly quickly with my clients, where they trust me and they consider me a friend. And so now, yeah, you gotta talk about your experiences.
Man, I love that. And it's so important in business, whether
Yeah,
it's real estate or any business in this day and age, we've got to connect with our clients and let them know that we're people too.
for sure.
We're more than just a business. We're people too. We have human emotions. We do human things, and you're on the right path. And it sounds like you do, you leverage, or you reference that your past and your path to make it easier to connect with people. And that's why you're having so much success, among other things. So I love to hear that.
Thank
All right.
you.
So AJ, so you're 6 months in,
Mhm.
you've learned a lot already, it sounds like. So
Yep.
if you could go back and day one and talk to day one AJ in the real estate business, what are three things that you would tell day one AJ, or any new agent getting into the business?
I think that one of the things that I missed on early on is that I didn't share with people around me that I was in the journey of becoming a real estate agent. And for me, it was like I want to keep it to myself until it's done. That's how I typically do things. Like I don't want to share it until I'm ready, until I've done it, until it happened. And number one, I think that's selfish, because there's people around you that want to cheer you on. There's people around you that want to motivate you in what you're doing. And number two, I think is a huge missed opportunity, because you begin to work your sphere of influence even before you get licensed. And I think that if you are listening to this and you're thinking about becoming a real estate agent, or you're in the process right now of getting licensed, talk to everyone you know about what you're doing. I think that people want to know that you're going to get licensed. I think people want to ask you questions, and it's just at the end of the day going to make you sharper, faster, if you are having conversations about real estate even before you become licensed. For sure, I know that I missed opportunities to represent clients that would have otherwise, if they knew that I was in the process or just about to get my license, would have otherwise waited to work with me because of the relationship that we have. But they didn't, because they didn't know that I was doing it. So number one, if you're becoming a new real estate agent, or even if you have been a seasoned real estate agent, tell people, every person I talk to, Sean, knows what I do. Number one, they know that I serve the Lord. Number two, they know that I love my family. Number two, they know what I do for work. So I think that a lot of times we miss opportunities in whatever industry, but we're talking about real estate, to make connections because we don't share with people what we do. And so that would be number one. Number two, I think that losing fear. I think at time, and this kind of is kind of attached to number one a little bit, but not being fearful of what you don't know. I think people are also not wanting to do things or talk about things because they're afraid of sharing it, and that comes to also sharing on social media. In this day and age, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit, but in this day and age, if you are not connecting with people on social media, then you're not connecting with people, because that is where people spend their time. I wish it was different. I wish I could go and tell you, put your ad on the newspaper and you're going to get some leads that way. But the reality is that people are constantly, first of all, this is within, 2 centimeters of people at all times. It's crazy. This is it. And people are constantly scrolling, constantly looking, constantly. And so if you're not on there, then you're missing out. You're missing out on the whole entire audience. And number 3, very important. When you're in real estate, you have to have a good team of people around you. You cannot do this on your own. I know people are like, oh, I want to be my own boss. I want to do my own thing. Yeah, that's great. That's a great component of it. But get you into a brokerage that cares, that's going to take care of you, that's going to answer questions. I have been extremely blessed that I got into a brokerage that really, really cares for me and for the business and for moving things forward. I am in a team that we work together and we kind of motivate each other. Also get people on your side that are lenders, like Sean. Get people on your side that are good, title agencies, people on your side that are going to help you move the business forward. You cannot do this by yourself. At the end of the day, it's going to take a team of people to get from point A to point Z in a transaction, and it's not going to happen because you make cool videos on social media. It's going to happen because you have a good team around you, for sure.
Man, I love that. And those are 3 like really hard hitting points. And I would argue that not enough people place an emphasis on those things, even those seasoned, even some seasoned people in our industry. So I love those 3. So let's transition and let's talk a little bit about, one of the main reasons that you're here. So, your social media presence, just it caught my attention right away. I follow a lot of people on social. I'm watching what they're doing, not only to, just see what they're doing in their business, but also to get thoughts and ideas for ways that I can approach the social media as well. And your content, the way that you create it really stuck out to me. And I would, to put it simply, I would say that your content tells stories. And I said to you before we got on today that even the content that you're putting out there, that there's no words, the video itself tells a compelling story. So before we jump in and watch some of the cool stuff that you're putting out there, why don't you talk a little bit about your approach to social media and how stories play a role?
Well, ultimately, people are going to want to be influenced in that way. If you're scrolling on social media, what's going to catch your attention? Is it going to be a talking head? Sometimes it does. Sometimes I stop and will look at a talking head of someone if I believe that they're going to have some value on me. But a lot of times, and at the end of the day, people want to be entertained. And so social media could be informational, but it's also a lot of times entertainment for people. They're gonna scroll, they're gonna see something they like. So storytelling will at the end of the day be the thing that's going to catch people's attention. It's not new. This is it's been done for generations. Jesus used storytelling, his parables to tell stories and drive truth into people's hearts. So in the same way, I'm just telling stories. I'm having fun with it. I think I have one post on there where I was like, hey, people think that real estate is glamorous, but how about picking up signs after an open house? Is that glamorous? And I'm just going out doing the thing that I'm doing, that I'm supposed to do. But I'm going to talk about it because people kind of want to see a little behind the scenes. Here's what we learned coming from a background of marketing and video production. The polished look is not necessarily what people want all the time. They want to see behind the scenes. They want to feel that you're real. And so if I'm going on there and wearing a suit every time and look at me, I'm wealthy and successful. I don't think that's super attractive to people anymore. People want to see the real you. They want to see behind the scenes. So tell stories.
I love that. And that kind of harkens back to the comment I made about we people want to see that we're people too, right? I want to do business with people. I don't want to do business with brands. I don't want to do business with a faceless brand. I want to do business with people. And I think that everything that you just said really speaks to that, is that connection and people being able to make that connection with you. So
for sure.
Let's do this. I want to jump in and let's take a look at some of the awesome content that you're putting out there. And then we can talk a little bit more about it. But I've got your IG, the Gram, pulled up here.
Let's go.
So let's go grab. Let's see. Oh, this one. So I'm going to share my screen here. Hang tight. All right. So we're going to share my screen. Let's jump over to this right here. All right. And while we're pull this up. So as you can see, got your Instagram up here. Fantastic stuff. If you're not already following AJ on social, I know on IG right here, you can see it's at AJ Cancel Realtor. AJ, you got any other handles that you want to throw out there for people so that way they can make sure that they're following you?
AJ Cancel Realtor in all the platforms.
All the platforms. Perfect. I love that. All right. So this one, I saw this one. Love this one. Let's dive into this. Hopefully we can share audio, maybe.
I think there's a Christmas song playing here.
Simple, effective, showing people behind the scenes. And you mentioned that, and that sounds really important.
It took nothing. Just set up the camera and walk away. So there's really cool audio to this one as well. I don't think we can hear it.
So what I really like about this one is this looks like it was done right in the middle of either an open house or a showing. You want to elaborate and tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, this is an open house I had on this property. This is that $619,000 property I told you about. Beautiful, beautiful property. So in the middle of open house, it just takes 2 seconds. Pull out your phone, shoot some content. I like to do, and you'll see this coming up on some of my clips. I like to do the clip of me walking into the property. So it doesn't take a lot. You set up your phone, record and walk in. To me, I was kind of joking around with someone. I say, hey, this is going to be my signature shot, me walking into the property. So a lot of them will have that. I think it's cool. But I pull the camera out. I think there's a clip here that I'm shaking someone's hand and as they're coming into the open house. This one here is my daughter and my whole family. They were all here. My wife was in the car. She had just helped me get the house ready for the open house, and we're getting the signs out. We're just hitting the street, getting the signs out. I tell you what, Sean, the one, oh, by the way, look,
broke out the leaf blower.
Hey, if your realtor agent is not getting the leaves out of the property, does he really care? I don't know,
Oh, let me
man.
turn the sound on real quick. What do we got?
But let me tell you something. This community I hit with like 20 of these signs. Number one, I could just go to the store, buy cheap signs that say open house this way, generic stuff, or I could go get these done. These have my face on them. These have my website on it. These have my phone number on it. I guarantee you, every single neighbor in this neighborhood knows the hardest working real estate agent is AJ Cancel, because I put up 20 of them signs. Then I picked them up. I was saying hi to the neighbors as I was doing it. It's just it's gonna make a difference. You know, the quality of the work that you do is gonna make a difference. So that's what I did on that one.
All right, let's show this. You mentioned this one that you were shaking a
Yeah.
hand. I've seen this one. So let's pull this up. I'm gonna hit the audio. Take a look. Don't know what to look for. So do you just have your phone in your left hand and you're shaking people's hand with your right hand? What's going on there?
That's exactly how I did that. And again, it's not as weird as people think it's gonna be. All right, it only really takes 2 seconds. You know, you do it. You don't need to have your phone on people's faces. That's I wouldn't do that. That's inappropriate. But you know, one of these. Hey, how you doing, sir? You know, welcome. And it takes 2 seconds. It gets me that shot, and that's all I need. As you see, these clips, you don't need long video. People don't want to consume 2 minute videos. People want to consume 15 to 30-second videos and move on. So that's what these are. They're fast paced. They have music behind them,
So and there's
and
something
that's it.
about this. So one thing that I've noticed significantly, we'll get into this a little bit more here in just a bit, is
Yeah,
you reuse the same
yeah,
shot in multiple videos in different ways. And
yes.
so, you know, that's for those who aren't familiar with how that works, that's like the epitome of repurposing content.
You
And
have
so
to.
we're gonna
You
get into
have to.
that.
Yeah.
All right. Give me, oh, you know what? I want to find. All right, let's see. You've got that closing video.
Oh,
Which one
it's
of
up
these
on the
is that
top.
closing video?
Go up, go up, go up. That one with the me and the two other people. Scroll a little bit down. Scroll
Right
down.
here?
No, that's my no.
Oh,
Scroll down.
oh,
That one right there. That's the one.
gotcha. Check this out. All right, everybody, pay attention. So, video testimonial on the
Yeah,
spot at
you have to.
closing
Yeah, and it
content
wasn't
for your social.
it's not hard. You saw some shots of me walking into the building, kind of setting up the atmosphere. Those are called B-roll shots or introduction shots to show people where you are, and then kind of sneaking into the office, showing them signing paperwork. Hey, it took me an extra 10 minutes and then a little bit of editing to put this together, and I think it's good content, and it's different than just a picture with them holding a wacky key saying closed. You know, like I want to be different in that way. So obviously, I asked permission. This couple, they're phenomenal. They're amazing people. And I asked permission. I said, "Hey, can we shoot like while we wait? Because we're waiting for the notary to show up." I said, "While we wait, can we shoot a quick video for you sharing how you felt with working with me?" And I was prepared for it. I had the camera set up, put it on the little tripod off to the side, so it's not intimidating to them. And then I just had a conversation with them. It took 5 minutes, and then we clipped it together. So it's really not difficult. And going back to what you were saying, Sean, it tells a story, and it brings. It's not just like, hey, I closed another sale. It brings a family into the equation. It brings people into the equation. It's not just my story that I sold a house, but it's their story that they purchased their first home.
Man, I love that. Let's check. I know this one's a little bit longer, but let's get through a little bit more and check
Yeah.
out Keith and Keela. Man, so my marketing brain is blowing up watching this, and I've already seen this, but every time I watch this, my marketing brain is blowing up because like this other home buyers, when they watch this, when they stumble across this on your social media, I feel like this is going to create connection. This is going to give them an opportunity to resonate with what you do and the stories that you tell.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that was the purpose behind it. And honestly, it's organic, and it doesn't. I was told by multiple agents, this AJ, this does not happen. And I'll say, what do you mean? You don't meet someone at an open house and show them a house the following week and go on the contract that same week. That doesn't happen. And I, I said it happens to me. God is too good to me like that. That's the story. Basically, I was doing this open house on one of my listings, which by the way, they work. Okay. You have to get out there and do the work. But the open house itself doesn't work if you're not working it. The open house by itself doesn't get you a client. You showing up, not being there physically present, but being there with the people present, making connections. That's what procures a client. In the case of Kayla and Keith, we connected right away, even before they walked up to the door. By the way, when I'm on an open house, I'm greeting everyone at the door. I'm not waiting for them to stumble in and walk in. I see somebody, I'm outside, I'm greeting them. As they were walking towards the door, I approached them. And I think I made a comment about his beer. He made a comment about my beer. Then I noticed that she was wearing a shirt for the church that she goes to. And I was like, hey, Mercy Culture, I love that church. And we connected immediately, even before we even talked anything about house shopping or that house that we were in. I had already made a connection with them. And I think...
Let me pause you. AJ, let me pause you.
Yeah.
Hold on. So let me make sure I heard you correctly. When you host an open house, you're not in the kitchen waiting for them to walk in the door and see you?
No, man. Who does that? If you're doing that, then
I know who does that.
You're not.
90% of real estate agents do that. That's who does
Man,
that.
Hey, you gotta get me in trouble here, Sean. The reality is, I have not been in the business. The business that I've been in is the business of serving people. And for the past, I'm 37 years old, and I started in ministry when I was 16. So for the past, 20 plus years, I've been in the ministry of serving people, in the business of serving people. So I create connections. I don't want people coming to me feeling lost. I want people to feel when they're walking in and when they're seeing me for the first time, like, this guy cares. And so I'm not in the kitchen. No, I'm not sitting behind some made up, desk there with my computer. I'm catching them at the door. I'm shaking hands. I'm saying hi to the babies. I'm welcoming them into the space, because I'm not selling that house. I'm selling a relationship with me. That's at the end of the day, that's what I want. I want to create. I want to build rapport. I want to create a relationship. And I feel like, with these, with Kaylin and Keith, I feel like we're friends now. And we're gonna be friends forever. We talked about having more babies. We talked about homeschooling. We talked about all these things that have nothing to do with real estate, and I like it that way. I think the real estate transaction became a side effect of the relationship that we built.
Man, I love that sentiment. Let's wrap this up and let's see the rest. Yeah.
That was so fun.
Man. All right, AJ, I got to ask. So when you do like this video, did you, after you got everything edited up, did you send this to Caitlin and Keith?
Yeah, I did. I sent it to them. They have some pictures. They have some video. I don't know. I don't think they're on social, so I didn't tag them on it. But yeah, I followed up with them, and they have all the content. Yeah.
Okay. So if you are watching this right now, if you're watching this later, if you're watching a replay of this, like this is the blueprint 101 on how to leverage video and be different than the rest of your competition. I know, AJ, I'm sorry, we're giving away all your secrets today, buddy.
It's good, man. It's good.
But this I love this. And this is exactly, I mean, this video is probably the one that really tipped the scales and was like, I got to get this guy on here. I got to talk to AJ. You are crushing it, man. I absolutely love that. All right, man. So let's go back to bingo. All right. So I love it. And believe me, everyone, check this out. I could show you 15 other videos from AJ that are similar to that are just going to blow your mind. So again, if you're not following AJ, at AJ Cancel Realtor on all the platforms, make sure that you're following him. It's gonna help make you better at what you do. You know, you're not going to copycat him exactly, but you're going to take ideas and thoughts and be able to transform that into something that resonates with you and your journey. But AJ, man, that's fantastic. That was
thank you, sir. Thank you.
Best closing video I have ever seen.
I appreciate that. And there's a lot of other agents out there that care and are doing great work. And I'm just happy to be able to do it and inspire my clients and inspire other agents.
Well, you said it earlier. We've got to be where our customers are, right?
That's for sure.
And our customers are on social, whether we like it or not, whether we want to be on social or not. And we've got to be where they are. And right. We have to make a decision on whether we want to be where they are to make a sale or whether we want to be where they are to make a connection.
Yeah. Big difference.
And you clearly approach this from, I want to make a connection. And kind of like you just said, the sale of the home, that was a byproduct of the connection. That was the byproduct of the relationship.
Yeah, so, for sure.
So you've already kind of touched on this a little bit, but is there anything that you could expand on about how you approach your social content that we haven't already hinted at so far?
No, I mean, there is a lot of formulas and different approaches out there, and they're great. I listen to a lot of it, and the reality is I want to do more, and I'm in the process of doing more, and I'm excited for 2024. I have a bunch of new ideas and new things that I'm going to bring on to the forefront. But at the end of the day, you got to put in the work. You got to be out there. You got to do it. It's not just following the formula, but it's also kind of connecting with people and caring. And like you said earlier, you noticed that, and I'll bring that up. Content is not just, you don't have to break your head. People overthink it. People like, oh, I don't have time to shoot it. Honestly, if you're doing work, whatever you're doing, like right now, I could pull out my phone and be like, oh, look, this is content. Like this is what I'm doing right now. I think one of my last videos, I was visiting a new construction that I'm going to close on at the end of this month, and my clients were just kind of checking everything out. And he's like, "Hey, I went to the attic for whatever reason, and I shot video of the attic, and then shot video of me coming down from the attic, and boom, that's content. Like it doesn't really take a lot. And honestly, there's so many tools right now that." It bothers me a little bit, Sean, because I did this for work and I know how difficult it is, or it was for me, to generate content, 10, 15 years ago, and all the equipment that you have to have and all the experience and all the training. And right now it's so easy to find a template and follow the template. It's so easy with your phone. Most people have good quality cameras on their phone. It's just easy to do it. And the only reason not to do it is because, you don't want to.
Man, I can't disagree with you one bit on that. So if you could pinpoint, and you've alluded to it a little bit in that statement, but if you could pinpoint one recommendation for agents who want to get started doing more social, what would be your one recommendation to get off the ground?
Number one recommendation for agents to start in social is just to do it. Go look at something that you like and do the same thing. If you don't have ideas of your own, go find ideas that you love and imitate them. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Make sure that you enjoy what you do and show people that you enjoy it. That's it. But at the end of the day, like whenever I post, the last thing I posted this morning was stuff that I had on my phone. I didn't go out and shot something and say, "Hey, I need a new reel. Let me shoot it." Yeah, I do that. Of course, we got to do that. But you can use, like we were talking about earlier, reuse stuff that's already on your camera roll and share with the world. And people are into that.
So let's talk about that for a moment, because repurposing content is, in my opinion, one of the best, fastest ways to create more content, right? Instead of having to constantly go out and shoot new content over and over and over again, why not take content that you've already shot? And so, how many times might you take a video or a scene that you've shot and reuse it in different ways in different videos?
Man, as often as possible. Honestly, I don't think there's a limit to it, because the reality is that a lot of your followers would have seen it already. But if you use a different song, if you edit it in a different way, they're gonna enjoy it again, and you're adding new things. And you're gonna get new followers, new people who are looking at your content, new people who haven't seen that shot before. And we fall into this trap of thinking if it's not new, people are not gonna care, and I don't think that's true. I think that's not true. I think it's good to remind people what you've done. I think it's good to remind people where you've been and your experiences. I'm excited for this podcast because we're gonna get a ton of content out of this. That's gonna be shared for the next few months, and why not? It's great. We could take this podcast and just give it to the live viewers, or give it to the viewers that are going to watch it on your YouTube later on, and that's it. Or we could, like you said at the offset, we can clip this thing out and share it on social media, and use this content over and over and over. And I could take a clip from me talking in this podcast and share it, and then in 2 weeks I could take that same clip, but instead of showing me talking, put other images on top, just use my audio, and there's another piece of content.
Man, I love that. And you're absolutely right. So for those who are wondering what specifically he was referencing, so AJ and I were chatting before we went live here, and we're going to be taking this video, and we're going to be leveraging AI, because AI is awesome. And we're going to be chopping this up into, I'd say 15, 20, 25 different short form content clips. And that's just that much more content. So when it comes to making content, making large amounts of content only seems daunting when you don't start. And, and AJ, and the quote I just wrote down from you, and I love this, man, is number one recommendation. Here's what I took from that: twofold: start and have fun with it.
Yeah, why not?
And that's absolutely awesome. All right, so
I have one more recommendation for
the
success. This is not just social media, but this recommendation is for any real estate agent, any any real estate agent, any business leader, any person who is trying to be influential. This is for the guys only. So sorry, girls. I'll work through with my wife what recommendation I have for you. But any guy, man, that's trying to be influential and have success, you need to grow a beard, or be trying to grow one. Grow a beard, or be in the process of trying to grow one.
And I will say yours is quite impressive, and it's
hey man, we're just having fun. I'm not kidding you, man. My wife, she's like, don't you get tired? I'm like, no, it's kind of fun. At least 4 to 6 times a day, as I'm interacting, as I'm in the gas station, guys come up to me like, man, your beard is marvelous. Also, they got all sorts of verbs. How do you grow it? And I give them the key. Here's the deal. Number 1, the Holy Spirit. Number 2, dude, it's generics. I can't tell you how to grow it. Don't go out and buy any oils. They don't work. Just let it do its thing. It wants to grow.
Man, that is awesome, dude. It's an impressive one. I I can't grow a beard too much.
Hey, it looks good, man. I like what you got
And
going.
I try. I get a little bit of peach. I get a little bit of peach. I got this. I got this.
That's great.
And that's about as good as it gets. What's interesting is when this grows out, it's red.
Yeah.
It's red. Like
Really?
I'm Redbeard the pirate when I grow this thing out for sure. Well, AJ, so I love what you do on social, and and social's important, but at the end of the day, it's got to drive results, right? At the end of the day, if you weren't in real estate, you probably wouldn't be doing real estate related social media. Is that a fair statement?
Right. Yeah, that's a fair statement. Yeah.
So it's got to drive results. So is there a success story that you have that you can share with us that you can directly attribute to the social media? I know it's only been 6 months, but is there a success story that you can attribute directly to the social content that you've been creating?
Yeah, well, certainly. There was a client. There's several actually, but number one, being on social media, it's not necessarily going to, and for a lot of agents, for a lot of people, it does bring direct results. But for me, it has really been useful in the sense of brand recognition and having people who know me now know me in a different way. Right now they know, oh, you're in real estate. Just the other day I received a message from a gentleman that I know from the church, and he saw on social media that I'm doing real estate, reached out to me, and we're working through getting him a property, and that came as a direct result of him seeing. Now he knew me from before, but now he saw that I'm doing real estate, and social media was the platform to do it. He messaged me on Facebook, actually.
Man, that's awesome. And that's directly, so he knew you.
Yeah.
Didn't think to reach out until he saw you on social and connected the dots.
Yeah.
And I love that. I can't say how much I agree with that. With that, social is not necessarily, you're not gonna like, oh, I posted 3 times on social and I got 15 client leads that are calling me for selling and buying a home. But the brand recognition, you mentioned that, and that's pivotal, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You can tell from everything that we saw from you today and everything that I've seen from you outside of today that branding is important to your approach to business, but also social media.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, for sure.
Man, that's awesome. AJ, we're up against it. I can't tell you how much I thank you for being on today. And everyone who's tuning into this, or if you're watching this, post live, I just want to say thanks so much for joining us today. It means a lot. If you are a real estate agent and if you haven't subscribed to the Powerhouse Real Estate YouTube channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button. If you're not currently checking out all the offerings that we've got in the Facebook group, the private Powerhouse Facebook group, make sure that you are going out, joining that, so that way you can get all of the amazing content, including replay of this right here, so that way you can rewatch it, take notes. AJ, in case there are any people that are looking to buy or sell in the near future watching this today, why don't we end with a message from you to them?
Sure. Hey, Sean, first of all, I want to say thank you for hosting this. It was a phenomenal, and you're an awesome dude. Thank you for providing so much value to all the agents and all the community around us. Hey, if you're in the DFW area, I'd love to chat with you, love to connect with you, help you with whatever needs you have as it pertains to real estate. Just go to ajcancel.com and you can schedule a call with me there. Can't wait to hear from you.
Awesome, man. I love that. Let's do this for all those people out there. Boom.
There it is.
.com right there. Awesome.
Click on that. Hey, Sean, thank you so much, man. It was fun.
AJ, it was a blast having you on. I really appreciate you being here. Again, everyone out there, thanks so much for joining me on this episode of the Powerhouse Real Estate Podcast. Until next time, I'm Sean Richard. This is AJ Cancel. You guys have an amazing rest of your day. Happy holidays.
Take care.